It's a Dota Weekly Show!
Yay!
Hey guys, welcome to a Dota Weekly Show, a show that tells you exactly what's been happening in the Dota universe for the past week. I'm Luminous, your host for the show, and let's get right into the news. First big piece of news of this week is that everyone is changing teams. We're calling the European Reshuffle, which I suppose is not anything we're too unfamiliar with because, you know, back in 2010, 2009, there's many these musical chairs between players and teams. So let's look at some of the big names, right? So Puppy from GG.net is now going over to Navi, and so is Light of Heaven from Moscow 5 is going to Navi as well. Right now Navi's team is looking extremely stacked. Although their past performance in this recent, past couple of days hasn't been looking too good. They've been trying out some very interesting strategy. Solo top Crystal Maiden didn't work out too well. Of course, I'm sure they're just messing around, trying out new strats, which we'll see how it works out, right? Moscow 5 replacing Light of Heaven is Santa. Old school player, so I don't really worry about them too much. Meanwhile, for GG.net, they're going to have Kuroki now move up to the captain slot, and also Kebab replacing Puppy. We don't really know how they're going to be role distribution in these three teams, because all of these players are very versatile in any roles that they want to play. So we'll see how it works out. Now, from past experiences, once teams move, or once teammates and I guess new players come into teams, I generally see teams practice a little bit harder. They have a boost of performance. So I think these three teams will be good for the relatively in the next couple of weeks. We'll have to see if in the long run which one of these three teams is really benefiting from these trades and moves and whatnot. Okay, the second big piece of news is Dota Commentaries is now sponsoring a pro team. If you guys remember GOD, Gods of Dota, or as Nebula would like to call them, Gods of Dota Public, is now playing under the DC banner. You will see them competing in tournaments under DotaCommentaries.com. Now the full team roster is Sexy Bambo, Evil is Near, Muga, 715, Jonesy, and Lag. Now as a content manager of DotaCommentaries.com, I hope that they will do well in the future, and I'll definitely be doing some shoutcasts and casts of them in general. So that's pretty much for the news of this week, and as always, if you want to read more about news, do check out Ghost of Gamer, do check out SG Gamer, and oh, by the way, I haven't covered this, but there's so many interviews, especially if you're in the Chinese scene, that I didn't really talk about, because, interview, you could read it for yourself if you're interested. For the English translations, it's on Ghost of Gamer. If you want to read it in Chinese, it's in SG Gamer. Very interesting interview. There's one for, I think, Long Didi, one for Shansheng. Many interviews that you definitely want to check out. Okay, for the mechanics this week, I know last week it was a little bit confusing, especially with the charts and everything. This week I'll make it a little bit more simpler. I'm going to talk about transformation. And the transformation I'm talking about is kind of like metamorphosis, the shapeshift from the wolf, alchemist, transformation, and I'm pretty sure most of us are very familiar with what those spells do. Now, mechanically and strategically, there's a couple things that you gotta be careful about, and a couple things that you could take advantage of. Now, the biggest thing pretty much everyone knows about is stun dodging. Some transformation spells have a transformation time, and if you could time it correctly, you could dodge projectile spells if you time it right. That's pretty much it. So, in the clips I'm showing in the background right now, you're seeing some Sven dodges. Sven's God Strength has, I believe, a 0.3 around transformation time. Dusa Split Shot has a 0.1. Alchemist have a couple of times. Some spells don't, right? We were talking about Gyrocopter's Flash Cannon. It's a transformation spell, but there's 0 transformation time. It doesn't take any time. There's no animation in between. So you can't really dodge any spell. Shapeshift, same thing. You can't really dodge the spell. So I'm going to give you a list of some of the generic transformation time that you could dodge spells with, and you could take advantage of that in your own game. Which I have to say though, right? Lone Druid has a 2-second transformation time, which unless you're dodging a roar from a Beastmaster, there's really no reason you want to try to do some transformation. So let's leave it at that, right? Okay, the second thing you want to be careful about transformation is some of the melee/range attribute weapons. And I'm talking about like Vanguard, Stout, Shield, Quelling Blade. You know how those weapons, if you get melee, you probably get more bonus, and I guess Orb of Venom also as well. So let's separate it into 2 categories. There's 4 heroes that go from range to melee or melee to range. I'm talking about a Dragonite, Syllabare, Terrorblade, and Troll Warlord, and those are the 4. Now with the Syllabare and Dragonite, those two, the attributes of the item don't change. So for example, if you get a melee Stout Shield on the Dragonite, and then you change into a ranged DK form, it will still be a melee Stout Shield, so it will still block more. Similarly, if you stay in range Syllabear form and then you transform back to the melee bear form, it'll still be ranged Stout Shield. So of course strategically you want to pick up the items when you're melee. So even if you have, like, for example, if you have Vanguard and Syllabear, you want to transform, drop it, and then pick it back up to get the melee bonus. You get more bonus mostly in the melee form. Now for the Troll and Terrorblade, it was just switch along. So if you have a ranged Stout Shield on a ranged Troll and you switch to melee form, it's going to be melee Stout Shield now. So it doesn't really matter for that. It doesn't matter too much for those two, but for DK and for Lone Druid, you definitely want to drop them and pick them up accordingly. So that's pretty much it for the transformation. A pretty light mechanics this week, but no big deal. Alright, so let's go to the Luminous So Fun Challenge, right? So I'm sure you guys definitely have watched the commentary by now. If you haven't, it's on the screen. Okay, so the last week's challenge was the Lumi 2 inventory challenge, where you can only use 2 inventories for your whole slot. If you want to check a commentary out, they were pretty creative. They had some interesting item choices, and they definitely switch items in between, which was kind of the expected result. In the couple entries I got, what I didn't see enough of was crows flying around, and not just dagger crawling and stuff like that, which we see enough. What I didn't see was crows carrying ore around. I was gonna say, hey, I'm sure someone would think of carrying a Poseidus ore around or carrying an AC around. I didn't see enough of that, and it's okay. It's okay. Teams were pretty creative. Entries were pretty creative. So I want to thank everyone that participated. And here is the Lumi Challenge number 2, right, for the second week. This, again, it's going to be a team challenge. I was actually quite surprised that many people did participate in a team challenge, although a couple of people did send in replay by themselves, but no problem. I'll do solo challenge in the future, but again, this one is going to be a team challenge. As a team, alright, for the next week, as a team, there will be no laning. No laning. No laning. The only thing you could do in a lane is gank or push. I don't want to see people just last hitting and creep. No, none of that. So you could jungle in the jungle if you want, and you could do some 5-man push if you want. You could do I don't even know. You could do level 1 Roshi if you want. I don't, from the start to the finish of the game, I don't want to see any laning. So again, you might be thinking, what the hell is the point of this, right? One thing I kind of want to emphasize is on sometimes creeping, especially in pubs. Creeping is a little bit overrated in my opinion. You could get gold elsewhere by ganking and pushing, and I think that really enforces kind of more creative play, also more aggressive play, and I think that's generally what makes a player a little bit better, in my opinion. So again, the challenge is no lane, none of that. So ganking, pushing, you find your goal somewhere. Type something. No, don't type hacks. Forget what I said. And oh yeah, of course anyone could just win a game in 20 minutes and be like, hey, I didn't lane, I just ganked the hell out of them and they all left. Which it's not very interesting. So if you can make the replay longer than 30 to 35 minutes, 40 minutes would be very, very good. To kind of see how you could get by an entire game without farming. Like, don't farm lane, but you can farm in the jungle, farm elsewhere. The only thing you could really farm on is when you're defending on tower, or when you see a huge creep wave coming down your tower. So that's going to be the challenge. Hopefully I will see even more participants this week. I want to thank everyone that has sent me emails, sent me a private message saying that, hey, Lumi, I want to watch your replays for you, and I will be contacting you soon, because I expect a lot more entrants this week than last week. So I'm definitely going to be contacting you soon. I really would need your help. So I want to thank everyone that has gave me a PM once again. Okay, so that concludes the Dota Weekly Show. A pretty light week this week, but hopefully we'll see you guys again in the next week. And as always, this is Luminous signing off. GG, guys.
3, 2, 1.
Oh!
Yeah!
Fuck off! Oh, fuck! Go check it out. It was a very hilarious game. They completed the 2. Oh my god.